Thank you for joining us on Sozo Firm Insights. Our topic today is titled Rethinking the Return to Office Push: Why Smart Employers Should Embrace Remote Work.
For decades, the default assumption in American business culture was simple. If employees were not physically present in the office, they probably were not working very hard. Before the pandemic, I shared some of that skepticism myself. Like many executives and business leaders, I believed productivity, accountability, and collaboration required employees sitting in the same building. Then came the global experiment none of us planned. During the COVID era, organizations across nearly every industry were forced to test remote work at scale. What many of us discovered was surprising. In the right environments, with the right expectations, remote work can be not only viable, but highly effective. Now, several years later, many employers are rushing to abandon the lessons learned and push employees back into offices full-time. In my view, that is a mistake. Remote work is not perfect. It is not appropriate for every job or every organization. But dismissing it outright ignores both the evidence and the evolving expectations of the modern workforce. The COVID experiment changed the conversation. Prior to the pandemic, remote work was often treated as a perk or an exception rather than a legitimate operating model. Leadership teams worried about oversight, productivity, communication breakdowns, and employee accountability. The forced transition to remote work during COVID gave organizations something they rarely get in management theory: a real-world stress test. Millions of employees worked from home for extended periods, and the results were mixed, but far more positive than many leaders expected. In many organizations, productivity remained stable or even improved. Communication tools matured quickly. Teams learned how to collaborate digitally. Employees gained autonomy and flexibility. Most importantly, many employees demonstrated that the old assumption that remote workers are simply wasting time is largely a stereotype. Yes, there are employees who abuse flexibility, but those employees existed in the office as well. The morale impact of the return to office mandate. One of the most significant developments I have observed in recent years is the emotional response from employees to strict return to office policies. Across industries, employees who previously worked remotely or in hybrid arrangements are now being told they must return to the office 5 days a week. In some organizations, particularly large bureaucratic institutions, this shift has been abrupt and rigid. The result has been predictable. Morale has dropped. Employees have shared with me stories of increased stress, frustration, and declining job satisfaction. Many had reorganized their lives around flexible work arrangements, moving farther from city centers, adjusting childcare schedules, or making commitments based on the expectation that remote work would remain an option. When those policies are suddenly reversed, employees feel as though the organization is ignoring both their performance and their well-being. Smart employers should pay attention to this reaction. Workforce morale is not a soft metric. It directly influences productivity, retention, innovation, and organizational culture. The hidden value of eliminating the commute. One of the most underestimated advantages of remote work is something every employee understands immediately: the commute. For many professionals, commuting to work consumes anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours each way. That time is rarely productive and often stressful. Rush hour traffic, crowded trains, unpredictable delays, and early morning departures take a significant toll on workers' energy. When employees work from home, that lost time is reclaimed. Instead of sitting in traffic, employees may spend that time preparing thoughtfully for their day, exercising, spending time with their families, getting a head start on work responsibilities. From an employer's perspective, the most important outcome is simple. Employees arrive at their workday less exhausted and more focused. That alone can have a measurable impact on performance. Remote work is not a universal solution. Advocating for remote work does not mean ignoring its limitations. There are many roles where remote work is simply not practical. Retail, manufacturing, healthcare delivery, hospitality, and numerous other sectors depend on physical presence. Even within knowledge-based organizations, certain positions benefit from in-person collaboration. Additionally, remote work requires discipline and structure. Some employees struggle without the boundaries of a traditional workplace. Others may feel isolated or disconnected from organizational culture. Good leadership recognizes these realities. The goal is not to force remote work where it does not belong. The goal is to use it strategically where it works best. Hybrid work, the practical compromise. For many organizations, the most effective solution is neither full remote work nor mandatory full-time office presence. It is hybrid work. Hybrid models allow employees to work from home part of the week while still spending time in the office for collaboration, team meetings, and relationship building. This structure preserves the advantages of in-person interaction while still offering employees flexibility. Many organizations have successfully adopted arrangements such as 2 or 3 days in the office, 2 or 3 days working remotely, flexible scheduling based on project needs. This approach respects both organizational needs and employee realities. It also allows companies to maintain strong culture and collaboration without unnecessarily burdening employees with daily commutes. The office space problem is temporary. One of the most frequently cited arguments against remote work is the cost of existing office space. Organizations often point out that they are paying substantial leases for office buildings that are now underutilized. This concern is understandable, but it is also temporary. Commercial leases eventually expire. When they do, organizations have the opportunity to renegotiate terms, downsize their footprint, or redesign workspaces to accommodate hybrid schedules. The long-term trend in many industries is already shifting towards smaller, more collaborative office environments rather than rows of permanently assigned desks. In other words, the real estate market will adjust just as workplaces have adjusted. Leadership requires adaptation. Every generation of business leaders faces moments when long-standing assumptions must be re-examined. Remote work represents one of those moments. The pandemic demonstrated that many organizations can operate effectively with far greater flexibility than previously believed. Ignoring that lesson risks alienating employees and losing talented professionals to more adaptable competitors. Forward-thinking employers should not ask whether remote work is universally perfect. They should ask a more practical question. Where does remote work make sense for our organization? And how can we implement it responsibly? My 2 cents, a call for employers to reconsider. The debate over remote work is often framed in extremes. Either employees must be in the office all the time, or everyone should work from home permanently. Reality is far more nuanced. Remote work has clear advantages. It boosts morale, improves flexibility, reduces commuting stress, and can enhance productivity in many roles. At the same time, some positions and organizations genuinely benefit from physical presence. The solution is thoughtful balance. Employers should resist the impulse to eliminate remote work entirely. At the very least, hybrid work arrangements deserve serious consideration. The workplace has evolved. Employee expectations have evolved. The organizations that succeed in the next decade will be the ones willing to evolve as well.
You've been listening to Sozo Firm Insights. Thank you for joining us.